Getting a little warm out here today, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, man. You get out here and do something, it definitely is.
Yes, sir.
So what does that do? Go to the computer, and the computer tells you, or does it have a?
It has a
dial on its own.
In just a second, it's actually got a screen. Looks kind of like an oscilloscope, but the spectrum analyzer hooks up through the USB cable. We've got some software that shows you the signal.
Yeah.
And you can go in on certain frequencies, and it pretty much just shows you exactly what's coming out.
Yeah.
On that frequency range. Lift this up a little bit more. And our meters transmit on a licensed frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You sure? Yeah. All right. Appreciate it.
So it what kind of signal is it? I mean, is it like a Wi-Fi or?
No, sir. I'm getting a shave right this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. It is technically it's a microwave.
Yeah. What does that mean though when you say microwave? Is that a certain frequency?
It's a band of frequencies.
All of our equipment communicates in the 900 megahertz band.
900.
Mm-hmm. The meter, for example, transmits at 941.
941.
Which is very similar to Wi-Fi is at 2.4 gigahertz, but it's the same type of RF infrastructure. Microwaves at 2.45, but it's all radio waves. It's all the same thing.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna force. We can sit here and have the spectrum analyzer set up.
Yeah.
And since it only transmits 4 to 6 times a day,
yeah,
we could be sitting here for a while waiting on one.
All day.
So I'm gonna, yes, sir.
Yeah.
You could wait a while. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna force it to talk.
Okay.
And so you can see the signal. And let me get the number off here. So
is this the computer to be on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is the software.
I don't know. We probably won't get a picture of this because it's.
Is it hard to see in the light?
Yeah, you can't really see it, man.
You can see there's no activity on the screen right now, Mr. West. The meter is not transmitting at all.
Yeah.
And you'll know when Ben's running a piece of software from the company who manufactures the meter that allows us to go out and talk to the meter and cause it to do a transmission. When it does transmit, you actually see the waveform occur here, and we'll be able to measure that energy.
Cool.
You'll notice that the antenna is sitting approximately a foot from the meter. We do that because FCC guidelines use 20 centimeters, which is approximately a foot. All their limits are based on a 20 centimeter distance.
You mean that's as far as the signal will go?
No, it'll go further than that. That's just that when FCC energy or RF, maximum permissible exposure is based on 3 quantities. One is the power, the transmit power from the device.
Right.
The second thing is the distance you are from the device.
Right.
And the third component is how long you're in front of that device while it's transmitting. How long it's transmitting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's 3 components it uses to measure maximum permissible exposure. That's what FCC uses. It's called MPEs, or maximum permissible exposure.
Right.
To get an indication as how long you should or shouldn't be in front of a device.
Okay.
For their calculations, they use 20 centimeters. Yeah, I just sent one to it, and we have that on hold, just so you can see it.
Cool.
So if we have it on continuous, it would just be a blip. And
So we measured a negative 3.1 dB, and I'll go over to our
so that's the strength of the signal that you're saying the communication apparatus in the meter puts out.
That is the power produced by the meter. And so what I'll do is I'll go in here.
Now, is that what it uses, what y'all showed me, to communicate?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to type
What does it communicate with?
It's a tower-based system, so I don't know where the nearest tower is.
You mean like a cell phone?
Similar. I mean, it's the towers are a lot of times on a cell phone tower,
Right.
but it's a separate apparatus on there.
Right.
It will, depending wherever it is, it broadcasts to that, and that they're tuned in just for the frequency of this, so it ignores everything else. So the signal doesn't actually have to be that powerful to get to it.
Okay. So, but anyway, it's going somewhere.
Yes, sir.
What you showed me that it did, that's to go to the cell tower, you're saying?
To a tower used for our metering system.
Okay, but you can't tell me where it is.
We don't even know where it's at. It's going to be within 10 miles of
Hey,
here.
buddy, over here. I don't know who that is.
If you need to walk around, we can.
No, I just was check. It's a good picture there. That's a great picture, man. That thing up there. I've never really seen a unit like that. So you say that's some kind of spectrum analyzer?
Yes, sir.
How does it pick up the signal that you showed me? Is it? I mean, how does it work?
Well, this right here is actually an antenna.
An
It picks
antenna.
up the signal, and the antenna is hooked into the spectrum analyzer. This is the brains of the unit.
Okay.
Right here.
Yeah, that's
More or
what
less.
you're showing me. That you say
Yes,
it
sir.
was that decibels? What is dB? What does that mean? You said it was 0.03 or something like that?
It was negative 3.1 is what we measured on this meter, and that's the power level being transmitted from the meter.
Which isn't anything.
It's very small.
Yeah, okay, cool.
It's far, far below the FCC limits. Actually, it's probably thousandths of a percent below the FCC limit.
Well, I mean, just the number itself. Yeah, who's it? Somebody around there? Come around here. Who?
Who is this?
I don't know who this is. How you doing, buddy? Come on around here. What can I do for you?
My name is Gray. I'm with Mr. Detweiler. You had sent him a letter to come.
Yeah, y'all come on.
Okay.
Y'all come on over here. They show me how this stuff works, man.
All right.
This is great, man.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. Doug Gray.
I'm Mark Leach.
Good to see you.
Who are y'all with, Mr. Gray?
The state of Georgia.
Ben
How you
Hancock.
doing? Good to see you.
They were telling me how they got an antenna here and they were measuring the signal comes off this thing. They told me, it goes to a cell tower.
They do it third bend.
Yeah.
Mr. Detweiler, this is who you got in touch with.
Okay. How you doing? I'm Todd, man.
You're Todd.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have recognized you.
Yeah. They were showing me how this thing works, man. They got their antenna set up here, and the strength of the signal it measures, and they say the signal it goes to a cell tower, so it's that's how it communicates. They just got started
It's
with
not
it.
cellular, though. It's a licensed frequency owned by Southern Company. Mr. Gray, what's your capacity with the state?
I'm with him to see the test.
What's your role? What's your job with the state?
I don't
You don't
work for the state.
You don't work
I
for the
just am a citizen of Georgia.
Oh, I see. Okay, great. Are y'all Georgia Power customers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
We're from Stone Mountain.
Okay, great. Well, let me show you give you a little more.
Yeah.
background.
Show them what y'all showed me.
Okay. Before you do that, let me explain how the meter works. There's a lot of inaccuracies on the internet about AMI systems. There are many different types of AMI systems around the planet, really. Most of what you see on the internet comes from the West Coast. There's a predominantly large number of AMI systems being deployed there called mesh systems. In that particular architecture for a mesh system, every meter is a transmitter. It's also a receiver. And it's also an amplifier. So that meter would talk to this meter would talk to another meter. They all bounce off one another and continuously transmit, which has created a lot of concern. It's still well below FCC limits, but it creates a lot of concern. Here at Southern Company, we chose a system from a company called Census FlexNet. It's a peer-to-peer, which means simply that this meter talks to the tower, wherever the tower may be. I don't know we really don't know where it's at. It could be anywhere up to 10 miles away from here. The other thing is with the mesh system, as I mentioned a while ago, they communicate continuously. Our meters only communicate 4 to 6 times a day. I apologize. Sure. And that's it's just standing here, using our equipment. We have a high gain Yagi antenna on top. We have a spectrum analyzer here that we bought off the shelf and assembled this product, this tool, test tool. We've placed it approximately 1 foot in front of the meter because FCC guidelines, all the limits that they have created around RF limits are based on being approximately 1 foot from the meter. And so we placed our antenna approximately 1 foot from the meter, and because we can't sit here and wait for the meter to transmit, it only does that every 4 to 6 times a day. Ben is running a piece of software called FlexNet Utilities from the meter manufacturer.
And that's census.
That's census.
Census.
Okay.
We can force that meter to transmit. So we can actually take a measurement for that meter. I'm going to clear this out, Ben, and you can do it again.
And all I'm doing right now is
watching it.
yes, sir. I'm causing it to ping because otherwise, it'd take all day sitting here.
Right.
What kind of communication are you using to make it do that?
This is on the same frequency. It just acts like a little mini transmitter. It's just plugged into the USB right here. It's on the same frequency, just communicating directly to the meter.
So what he's doing, Mr. West, he's got a little transmitter right here, and he sends a signal from his laptop to the meter and says, hey, transmit a command for me.
Right.
Just like it would on a normal meter reading. And so he's talking it from his laptop here, forcing it to transmit over the network.
And that's operating at, you said, what was the frequency you said?
941.
So that talks to that using that frequency?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's a licensed frequency owned by Southern Company.
Southern Company owns it.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so you can see sitting here, Ben hasn't caused it to transmit. If you look at the software right now, it just looks like a bunch of screwy lines. And in a minute, he'll actually cause it to transmit, and you'll see a difference in the screen. But right now, it's not communicating at all. Okay, Ben, go ahead and tell it to transmit.
It's 9 point what?
941.
941.
Yes, sir. And so you can see
Yep.
you can see he forced it to transmit, and you can see the.
Right.
And
That's
we'll take a measurement of that, and it came up to negative 3.1, which is exactly what we measured the last time we tested it.
Yeah. Which ain't much.
Which is not very much. And so we take that data, and we enter it into a spreadsheet that we have put together for the customer, for Mr. West in this case. We can also do this with the microwave. We go inside the home and we do it for a lot of customers because a lot of customers are concerned, well, my recliner sits right behind the meter while I watch TV for hours every night. Well, the best way to block RF is to wrap a metal case around it, and all our meters are installed in metal meter bases. So usually when we go inside and measure, it's so low it doesn't even show up on the graph. But we still do it to show the customer that the RF inside the house is
Right.
low. But so we can do that. And once we entered the negative 3.1, and you can see here smart meter outside.
Right.
In this case, it's very low. You can't.
Yeah.
That reading is very low. Inside doesn't even show up. This is a typical microwave, and the reason we like to test microwaves is because it gives the customer, and microwaves are still far below FCC limits, but it gives the customer a great view of the comparison between, say, a smart meter and a device that we all use every day.
Got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If that reads 4 to 6 times a day, how many times do my neighbors read?
Same thing.
Do they read the same time?
No, sir.
Okay then. If I'm 25 feet from my neighbor's meter, I get his radiation and my radiation RF when we read.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's back this up a few feet and show you the drop.
Yeah, this is what I was explaining to Mr. West. So the exposure to RF is dictated by 3 quantities.
Yeah.
And I have that on the sheet here. But first is the amount of power the device transmits. So the meter's transmitting at negative 3.1 dB. It's also dictated by the duration, the time you're standing in front of it. And third thing is the distance. So as you move away from a transmitter, your amount of exposure, RF dissipates in the air tremendously. It's actually logarithmically.
Let me ask something. Now, when you say RF and you go away from it, are you saying the signal weakens or just a certain quality of the signal weakens?
Neither. I'm saying that the exposure you have, the signal does weaken tremendously, but because of that, your exposure also weakens.
Well, yeah. Well, that's almost common sense.
Right.
Farther away you get away from something, yeah.
And we can show that. So we measured minus 3.1 here, which is, like I said, relatively small. But we can take and we can move this back, and we do this too. We'll move it back 10 feet or 3 feet or whatever.
All right.
And,
Question.
yes, sir.
Who calibrates this?
Every meter that comes into our shop, we buy these meters first of all, they're all FCC certified. There's a certification that Census, the manufacturer, has to go through. They ship them to us, and Georgia Power has certified this meter. We put it through all the ANSI testing and certified it.
All the meters y'all put out, you do that too?
We don't. We have. Matter of fact, before a meter can be installed on Southern Company system, it actually goes through our labs and is certified by ANSI. Absolutely.
So Southern companies check this meter?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. All
Absolutely.
right.
Every meter we put out has been certified.
Now, back to what I was asking about the signal. So you're saying where I'm at, of course, it's going to be less exposure.
Absolutely.
Will the signal be the same or will it be less?
The signal, the amount of energy that you're absorbing from this meter transmitting will be tremendously reduced.
But the signal.
The signal, if I had a receiver, if I had a...
Because, see, I'm going back to common sense. Okay, it communicates with a tower, which Lord knows where that's at. Right. So that's what I'm saying. The signal strength would still have to be pretty good for whatever it's putting out to get there. So it really couldn't, I mean, I understand what you're saying about the exposure and the, what that entails, but I'm saying the signal strength of the actual broadcast, what it broadcasts, would still have to be powerful enough to get where it's going.
No, and the reason is that the transmitter and the meter is the same. It is what we just measured. The difference is the receivers on the towers, which could be 8 or 10 miles away, are extremely sensitive. And they're designed that way so that the meter doesn't have to have a powerful transmitter.
Okay, I got another question for you.
Yes, sir.
I got 2 reader cell towers within 3/10 of a mile of me.
Yes, sir.
There's probably 2,500 meters in that area.
Okay.
Now I know that for a fact. There's 590 houses in my subdivision.
Yes, sir.
I've been fighting this thing for a whole year, and I'm going to tell you why, more than a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is, you know what cicadas are?
Yes, sir.
That's what I have in this ear and this ear.
Mm-hmm.
This ear's dead, and this ear, and my wife had every solitary day and night. Our meter's 12 feet off of our bedroom window. Bedroom. 12 feet. Now, it didn't start till they put in those 2 cell towers. And they're reader towers, and they're not cell phone towers.
Are they cell phone towers?
Yeah, no. They're reader towers.
So there is a difference. See, I didn't know really there was a difference.
There is a difference, and there's not going to be 2 Southern Company towers together within
Well,
miles
that's
and
what
miles
they
apart.
got. I can take you to Stone Mountain and show you.
How far away would those Georgia
towers
Power or Southern Company ones be? I mean, minimum.
I mean, we probably have 150 towers across the whole state. I mean, they'd be
Nothing. That's
miles and miles and miles.
they
apart,
say 8-10 miles.
at least. And
But I
that's-
mean,
well, from this meter, but then you might have on the other side. You'd have another tower 8 or 10 miles. So you may have for 2,500 meters is really not a lot, and to have 2 towers there would just. I'm not disputing
Yeah, I
it.
know
I'm just
what you're
saying
talking
there may
about.
be some other tower, but would be very unpractical.
Well, this is the reason I said that. They didn't put those 2 towers in, we put these meters in. Now, wait a minute now. 3/10 of a mile from me, I got one 240 feet in the air. It's a cell tower. I know it's a cell tower.
Yes, sir.
These are reader towers according to what I've been told about reader towers. I got one within 3 blocks of me. And I know it reads over 500 meters. I know that for a fact because there's 2 subdivisions with at least, I got 325 houses in mine.
Right.
The one across the street from me's got close to that, maybe not that much, because it's small acreage.
so all the
And then down the road, if you're familiar with Stone Mountain, down at Pine Lake, they got another one sticking up in the air. And they're not high enough to be a cell tower. And I'm going to tell you the reason I know that. They got to be a certain height for a cell tower to be effective. I think it's,
I'm not familiar with the area.
Well,
Now, where are y'all out of?
Forest Park.
they're Forest
Forest
Park.
Park?
Yes, sir.
this is what
So
y'all
this
do
is-
all the time, or y'all like the investigation crew for this?
No, so Ben and I both work in meter engineering. So we test these. We're responsible for certification and test of all the meters used for Southern Company.
Do you have a card?
I do.
Yes, sir. I can get you another one. I gave Mr. West one a
Okay.
minute.
Yeah, give him a card.
Respect
I'm
you
asking
guys.
Another thing too, I've
Let me
already
go
told
into
you
my
that
car and get one real
Okay,
quick.
sure.
my son used to work for him. In fact, he's one of
I wasn't expecting anybody to show up except Georgia Power with a little old hand meter. I said, and they brought this stuff. I said, wow, that's nice stuff.
I saw you out front here. We went on up the road, I said, that's the place.
Grade 5,
I said, no, that's the place.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I said, you had a great hat on.
I've had two things to happen.
Yeah, I was working out in the yard before they got here.
That's right up front. I've told them twice. I got 40 stitches in my body.